I just love stories about people who take initiative, have an idea, and really make it happen.
Hi, I'm Peterson Toscano, and this is Bubble and Squeak. Today's episode comes in 3 parts. Each part includes one or more personal connections to women who cracked open my mind and heart. Part 1. The secret world of diapers and period products. Well, it was a secret to me. Part 2. A poem about the beginning of the end. And Part 3. Jumpstar, a leap 1,000 years into the future. You will hear a sound slice from the ceremony, which recently began in Richmond, Virginia. Part 1. Menstrual Cup. This story emerged out of personal connections from my earliest days. It features my cousin, Mona Norfleet, a classmate of my younger sister's, a former co-worker, and a woman from Zambia who grew up in a refugee camp in Kenya. Collectively, I've known these women for almost 140 years. Kelly Esselman, a classmate of my younger sister, Maria, emailed me out of the blue. She introduced me to Christine Garde Denning, who also attended our school in the tiny town of Narrowsburg, New York, along the Delaware River. Christine started an organization called Could You? That's with a question mark. Could you? This nonprofit provides menstrual cups to women in the USA and worldwide. I had never heard of a menstrual cup before, but after looking at the Could You website, I was intrigued. Could You's primary focus areas are ending period poverty and eradicating malaria and other mosquito-borne illnesses. It's part of their direct efforts to combat extreme poverty. As I emailed Christine to set up the interview, I had no idea how that conversation would lead me to other women in my life, women who are engaged in helping women in their communities. Here is Christine Garde Denning.
I am on a mission to end period poverty by 2040. 500 million women and girls globally in every country, including America, cannot afford period products. As a result, they are missing school, they're missing work, and worse yet, they're using unhygienic items, whether it's using a pad in America or a tampon for 16 hours, which is a recipe for toxic shock, or in communities around the world using cow dung, banana leaves, newspapers, and worse, the number of girls having transactional sex for a box of pads has increased significantly since COVID, resulting in high rates of STIs, HIV, teen pregnancy, and child marriage. When I heard about it, I thought that can't be. And then I began to speak to girls in Brooklyn, to girls in Africa, to girls in California, telling me right here, I don't go to school 3 to 5 days a month because my mom can't afford pads. That's staggering. What do you do if you can't afford pads? And girls saying, well, sometimes you find older boys that you know have jobs, and if you have sex with them, they'll buy your products. Well, that's not very different from a little girl in Ghana saying, the boda driver offers to have sex with me and he'll buy me a box of pads. Girls are giving away their bodies for a box of pads. Every woman in the world is menstruating. It's absurd. Tampons and pads that are disposable take between 500 and 800 years to decompose. If Joan of Arc was using our modern day tampon or pad, they'd still be in our landfills. Studies have been done. Duke did a study where they looked at products, reusable underwear or period panties, tampons, pads, and menstrual cup. All of them except the menstrual cup had a forever chemical in it. Now, a menstrual cup, one cup you use for 10 years. So that means you get a menstrual cup, you don't have to buy anything for 10 years. That is not only a cost savings, but it's an environmental savings. They say one menstrual cup saves 89 kilograms of CO2 emissions, which is the same as charging a mobile phone 10,000 times. One cup. We've served 180,000 menstruators The menstrual cup market is definitely increasing, specifically around environmentalists, and the college age students are seeking it out. LGBTQ networks, all in San Diego right now, have reached out to us saying that their clients prefer the menstrual cup for a few reasons. One, let's say you're a student. If you just had a menstrual cup that you could carry inside of a beautiful handmade cotton carry bag made in Africa, and you just keep it in your purse, you never have to worry about where do I find them? You're not carrying tampons and pads around. The problem is there's not enough people who know about it. If you look at our American school system, when they talk about reproductive health, they only talk about disposable tampons and pads. In our health education, in our 6th grade, they are not introducing menstrual cups, even as an option. Even though the menstrual cup has been around 87 years, it is not familiar, it is not standard, and it ought to be as familiar as the tampon, and it's not. It's safer, greener, and cheaper, but here we are, 87 years later, having to introduce it for the first time to most audiences. I read a book. It's called Let Your Life Speak by Parker Palmer. If you haven't read it, everyone should read it. This little book that changed my life and has actually changed the life of a lot of people who we've given it to. He's a Quaker, and it's a book that talks about how you were born with this birthright to do extraordinary things. But unfortunately, over the years, it gets snuffed out of you. It might be because of where you live, who you grew up around, your institutions, just life. I read a quote that is the heart of our organization. He said, "True self happens when your deepest gladness and the world's deep need meet." We built Could You in the beginning as a way to say to individuals, what if you could live your life in the middle of that intersection? What if you could do something you're uniquely gifted at, you care deeply about, you're good at? That changes the world. And so that's what we built Could You on. For International Day of Menstruation in May, after Mary and Ella interviewed all these girls around the world, they took their stories, their monologues. They then partnered with actors and wonderful women in New York City who came and presented the monologues. They were powerful. The audience heard the reality of the story of period poverty from the perspective of a participant in this monologue. There's a way to donate online. There's a way to become a volunteer. There's a way to email us and travel with us to Africa. If you're in Africa, there's ways to get cups, help us collect data, help us collect stories, or follow us on social media under Could You Cup. And we're on all of the platforms, and we'd love to have a broader audience.
Christine urged me to speak with Mary Maker, her colleague at Could You.
If I go South Sudanese, my full name is Mary Nyiriak, Nyiramakadem Malau. But if I make it in simple terms, I go by Mary Maker.
Where did you grow up, and where do you currently live?
I grew up in Kakuma refugee camp. It's located in northwestern part of Kenya. It's one of the biggest refugee camps in the world, with a population of 300,000 refugees coming from 10 plus communities. And I'm currently based in Harlem, New York.
There's a very common American question you probably get asked all the time. So what do you do? What's your go-to answer?
So I think that is the toughest question anyone could ever ask me. What do I do? I'm an artist. So as an artist, I feel like, I do everything. My younger sister once told me artists are one of the most busiest, jobless people she has ever met. And I feel like that represents the work that I do. I am in policy, in advocacy, refugee advocacy. So I work as a goodwill ambassador for the UN. And then on my other side, I am an artist. I do playwriting and poetry. And then apart from that, I am a co-founder of an organization called Elemisha Kakuma. We are a nonprofit based in Virginia. We help refugees in Kakuma refugee camp apply to universities in the United States, UK, and Europe. Across all these platforms, apart from being a theater kid that is in music and musical theater, to writing poetry and books and all of that, also being the community outreach and engagement personnel like at Could You Menstrual Cup. everything pieced in because of advocacy and my passion for refugees. It makes it easy for me to flow in between those things that I'm really passionate about. So what do I do again?
You do it
I'm
all.
everywhere. I do it all. Yes.
And what are some identities that you hold that are important to you that you want people to know about?
I'm a loud person. I love singing. I think I sing way too much, like everything that I get a hold of. I love singing. I love writing. I am a passionate person when it comes to social justice and education. Before all of that, I know that I have so many intersectionalities of being a refugee woman, but I love to be identified first as an artist, as a fashion lover, as a creator before the refugee side. Again, it's an intersectionality that I could never escape from. And it's something that we're working through slowly. Like, I'm also a public speaker, probably I didn't mention that before, but I've been speaking probably since I was 15. Done 2 TED Talks, like just almost in every platform I speak with universities, companies, and all of that. And I think what you say is really important because every single time I go on stage, it's always like, you get to watch me unpack this over and over again. But at the end of the day, I really still want to own this story. You know, there's the gaze of everyone watching you as you unpack it. So that people have a glimpse of so many other refugee stories. But my story and so many other refugees is so different. For me, I have a different end. I actually left the camp. And many will never leave the camp. Other stories are untold. Others will never gather the courage to tell those stories. And others really still hold on to those stories. Others never want to be identified as refugees. It's a dehumanizing term that comes. There's something about it that comes with forgetting that you're a mother, you're a soldier, you're a lawyer or something like that. So I'm really cognizant about how I share my story. Every single time, I feel like I have to console myself and be like, this is my story. I've invited you into my story, but I want you to understand that I'm still unpacking this every single minute. Don't worry, I'll share what I can. I usually share things that I've already walked through. I remember growing up in Kakuma. Again, you come to Kakuma for 1 month thinking that you're going to go back home because no one ever chooses to leave their home unless home actually forces you out. I remember coming into the camp with my mother. I was probably 2-3 years old. I don't know how old I am though. So I'm in between that time. I'm always guessing every single day. As a child, you don't know the problems that you're going to face. And then you become a young teenager in the camp. And of course, you're going to start your menstrual cycle. And your mother thinks that the teacher is teaching you, and the teacher thinks the mother is teaching you, and you're left in this limbo. The community is telling you, don't let the blood show. You're a woman now. And then there's the other parallel life, especially being a South Sudanese woman, menstruation almost equals marriage. When I was 9, I was looking forward to it. We wanted to grow so badly. And once you're 12 and you're now hyper aware about your body, I think that excitement shifts. When I graduated high school, I became a teacher in the camp. That's because I didn't have anywhere to go. You can't afford college, even if you're smart. So I became a teacher. I was teaching a classroom of like 120, sometimes 150, depends on the day. Most of the time, even within a classroom of like, let's say 120, less than 10 were girls, most of them young mothers. And those that were girls, there was just that one time of the month that they're all not in class. So many girls during the cycle are not going to come to the class. You don't want to be a laughingstock. So what are you going to do to be able to make sure that no one sees it? In some instances or some other refugee camps where you have to sit on sand for those days. I know some communities that you cowhide they get to make like kind of like a period panty with it. Mostly it's usually given to married women and not the young women because you have to earn your status towards that. Girls will take old sponges of mattress, kind of like layer them together for the underwear. There's no way it's not going to leak because you cannot afford menstrual cup. It's that anxiety that comes with it. The dangerous one is having sex for pads, which then affects mostly school-age going girls because there's the shame that we talked about. that is attached to menstruation. It just breaks my heart every single time. The menstrual cup has never even crossed my mind. I know it was taught in high school, but I had never even seen one before. Because number one, you're like, is it a cup of tea? Menstrual cups are like, it's beyond us. We've heard about it, but we've never seen them. So it was my first time like seeing a menstrual cup. She gives me this cup and I'm like, I want to talk about it, but I need to try it first. Of course, like the first time I'm trying it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't know how to take it out. And I'm panicking in the bathroom and I'm literally searching online. And I forgot like inside the packaging for Kudiu, there's like whole instructions. But who reads the manual, right? You just go straight for the main thing. And I'm like, I'm panicking. This is really visceral, you know? There's a whole process of like, you have to learn how to insert it and fold it. You have to be in touch with your body. You have to be in touch with who you are because we don't know nothing about down there. We don't talk about down there, especially from communities that we're coming from. You shouldn't even be looking down there. And so now I have a menstrual cup that I have to insert down there. And I was like, Christine, let's work with the communities to first understand the myth around menstruation. And it's crazy because the world has built bombs, ships, everything. No one has ever sat down to think of a durable solution for menstruation, right? Because even tampons themselves, like they're hard to insert and they're dry and they're painful. The cup is durable. It's like 10 years, which can literally save your life, especially. But it won't work unless the community really understand what it is. I've used it now for like over a year and I'm like, why didn't I start this sooner? I end up not like having to buy pads. Sometimes it's easy to be like, okay, the refugee camps and all of this, but this is a problem worldwide. We interview some women from Ukraine, even just menstruation in war. That's the last thing people are going to think about. You're fleeing. We're thinking about like guns, right? We're thinking about other things. Children and women are usually the most vulnerable at any kind of war. But even then, we're thinking food, we're thinking clothing, we're thinking shelter. We're never thinking menstruation. We were interviewing a woman here in New York City. You have 4 girls. A box of pad for one of the girls is probably going to cost you almost $40. This is an issue that is more dire than you could think. It's not just the communities that can afford it. Even communities that can afford it, you also find yourself in a bind. And then we're not always willing to talk about it. I'm selling the cup because it's 10 years of you being saved, having to go back to producers, having to go back to their shop, having to think about the money to buy it. I know with Kudiu, we sell the cup for like $10 where you buy a cup and donate a cup for a girl. Currently, we have like over 2 million women on the wait list for cups. Who wants to fund women, right? It's really tough, like where we have to kind of like prove to you that this is important. Kudiu Menstrual Cup is really looking for new donors and new funders. And this is how we approach our work. We've already done the research. So we do a lot of community engagement where we work with the community to, number one, understand the body, the anatomy of the women, to understand how different women experience menstruation. And it's okay that probably someone is going to have cramps, someone else is not going to have it. We try to tackle the myth and I give you the cup. I tell you, stay around with it for some time until you feel comfortable. But I feel like it's one of the long-term solution. I feel like it's the perfect solution for so many girls. Not just in camps, not just like in poor communities, but everywhere around the world. I'm going to read one of the poems that I wrote for last year's International Day of Menstruation. We put up like period monologues here in New York City, and we interviewed women from all over the world. Let me read B, 20-year-old, New York. I wake up in the morning to find that it's come again. I drag myself out of bed, and although I know better, I check the bathroom drawers for something to use. There's nothing. The same as the last 3 times. I wonder again what my mom does, how she handles it. I can ask her for a pad. I remember the one time I did, I saw the pain in her eyes as her brows knitted together and she stumbled through some promises that she'd keep some up. The look makes me feel sick. I like to see my mother strong and capable. This look made her seem broken and ashamed. I suppose it's silly to ask for a pad when we are out of milk and have been for 4 days now. I settle on wearing my swimsuit bottom instead of underwear and pack it with enough toilet paper that I worry it looks like I'm wearing a diaper, just until I get to school. Then I can switch it out for a pad. The toilet paper shoves my inner legs as I walk to the train station. My mom guides me and my sister through the turnstile and onto the platform. She wears her green coat with the wide sleeves that I love, the one that makes her look regal and brings out the dynamic color of her eyes. Coming? She calls back to me and she grabs my sister's hand to pull them into the train. She is tall and beautiful, a capable mother of 3. My strong mother. I waddle my way after her into the car. It's a beautiful work, what we do. And as an artist, you should be able to paint the society. That's what we do. We paint what we see.
Soon after these conversations with Christine Gardening and Mary Maker, I traveled with my husband Glenn 3 hours to New Hartford, Connecticut. We were visiting our friends for the weekend, Fran and Mark Stouffer. Fran and I worked closely together at the Watkinson School in Hartford, Connecticut. This was during the early 2000s. When we entered their home, we had to navigate around dozens of boxes piled on top of each other, lined up in a row. I asked Mark, "Are you moving or something?" And I'm glad I did, because those boxes helped me better understand Fran's commitment to women in the region.
For most of my career, I was a middle school English teacher. And I worked with Peterson on a professional development activity, and we were great co-facilitators. We really had a good time together. Since that time, I've retired and now I volunteer for causes that I'm dedicated to. The one I spend the most time on is being the chair of the Women and Girls Fund. The Women and Girls Fund is part of an organization called the Northwest Connecticut Community Foundation.
With Women and Girls, you do lots of different projects, small and large.
I really love the financial literacy courses that we give. I pair up with banks, local banks, and go to child care centers. We create curriculum for teaching young parents, young families about their financial needs, how to avoid scams, how to invest wisely, how to save money for a rainy day. And the banks are fabulous. They pay for dinner for all the participants. One child care center even gave a discount of $25 off of fees just to encourage families to join in.
Wow. When I was last at your house, I walked in and there were piles of boxes, female hygiene products.
We call it the Women and Girls Period Product Project. We get donations of period products from the Connecticut Diaper Bank, which may sound strange to people because diapers and period products are not the same, but in fact, they're made by the same manufacturers. And the Connecticut Diaper Bank has stock of all these period products that they distribute through the state. Connecticut has recently legislated an offering to schools in our area. It's required for the schools to have period products in the bathrooms for free. But the catch is that the legislature didn't fund it. Some of the schools that really should have these period products in them don't. And of course, other places where women and girls need to get supplies like food pantries, homeless shelters, places like that are also needing period products. Megan Sokol-Nicki, who is the community outreach person at the Kent School in Kent, Connecticut, brought the idea to us because she was doing it with her community service group at the school. And she said, "Hey, this sounds like it's, custom made for the Women and Girls Fund. So we launched a couple of pilot programs, one in Norfolk, Connecticut at the Norfolk Food Pantry, one in Kent that was funded and supported by Kent School and the Women and Girls Fund. After about a year of them successfully running these programs, we broadened our reach, and now we go to about a dozen different towns and leave bags of period products for people who visit the food pantries and homeless shelters. The diaper bank delivers skids full of period products. I have a friend in New Hartford, Jack Casey, who has a warehousing business, and he gives us free space to store the period products, which is really kind of him. Once a month, I go to the warehouse, grab a bunch of boxes. People on the executive committee of the Women and Girls Fund hold what we call a packing party. Women from different towns, and men too, get together and repackage those bulk products into Ziploc bags. We stick a sticker on it that says the Women and Girls Fund, and we fill up a handled bag full of those packets and distribute them all over our area in Northwest Connecticut. All of the labor is volunteer. Nobody, is charging for that. All of the delivery service is all volunteer. It feels really good that all of these women are supporting women in this way. There's a really fabulous story behind them. Joanne Goldblum was the founder of the diaper bank in Connecticut, and she was a social worker at Yale New Haven, and she was a mandated reporter. When she went into homes to check on babies, if the babies had soiled diapers, she was supposed to report that as child abuse. It was horrible for her. These women didn't have the money to buy the diapers, and yet they were in jeopardy of actually losing their children. And she couldn't stand it. So she went to Costco and bought a whole bunch of diapers with donations from her friends and some corporate donations too. And that's how it all started. Every time she went to visit one of these young families, she would bring the diapers with her so the baby could be changed right then and there. There was no question that the baby was not being well taken care of. So eventually, the people who make Huggies saw that there were a number of people doing this same thing. And they called Joanne and a couple of other women, someone from the South, someone from California, called them together at their headquarters. And they said, we want to do this for impoverished families. We want to set up a national diaper bank. And so now Joanne is the CEO of this national diaper bank. It's a great story. I just love stories about people who take initiative, have an idea, and really make it happen. I have great admiration for her. We learned early on that you can't use food stamps to buy period products. That's what spurred us on to try to solve that problem. It didn't seem fair.
You told me this story about a bunch of boys involved with packing period products.
Yes, it's true. I was contacted by the Miller family to help with an event that was celebrating the life of their daughter, Grace, who had passed away in the past year. All of Grace's friends and relatives were coming to this fair, and there were tables set up with activities that Grace would have loved or Grace stood behind. They wanted me to set up a table of period products. My stories to the Miller family about what I did was an inspiration for them to think about a celebration of Grace that is active, with people doing things as opposed to just sitting around being sad about the fact that she wasn't with us anymore. So I set up this table in the gym of a school. Immediately, the young men were drawn to my table. A lot of the other tables were art projects. This was more hands-on stuffing items into Ziploc bags and slapping stickers on them, and it felt more active. It was really the first time I was involved in a packing party where mostly young men were helping me with the effort. And I loved it. I thought it was fabulous that they really wanted to help, and they felt like they were, doing a project that could celebrate Grace in a way that she would have loved.
What a wonderful way to honor Grace's life.
Uh-huh.
These boys, we're talking high school students?
No, they were young professionals. Grace was 25 when she passed away. So they were all classmates of hers when she was in high school. These were young men that, really wanted to help.
For people who want to know more about Women and Girls and what you do, and maybe even want to give a donation, how do they find out about you?
They can find us at our website, yournccf.org/women and girls, all one word.
I'll make sure that link is in the show notes. Anything else you want to add? Any other stories you need to share?
No, not for today, but it's been great talking to you about Women and Girls and the Period Project.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're doing this. It's such an inspiration. Thank you, Fran.
Thank you, Peterson.
While in the Hartford area, I met up with my cousin, Mona, for breakfast. Turns out she'd been working on a special project that also sought to improve the lives of local women.
I am both Black and white. I'm both African American and Italian American. That colors everything that I do, my music, my TV, my words, my everything.
And what people may not know just by seeing us, we are kin, we're cousins,
That's
first
right.
cousins. My dad and your mom were siblings.
That's right. Uncle Pete.
And Aunt Mary. I'm not surprised that in public life and in life that being Black supersedes a lot of other identities. That makes a lot of sense. But you also are concerned about women and women's issues, and that's why I want to talk to you today.
I got a story for you. I applied to this leadership program at the Y that I work in. They wanted to not just promote from within, but also encourage from within. So I thought this would be a good idea. I got invited to join this group, and they had a capstone project. It's my first capstone project. I'd never been involved with anything like that before. In this leadership lab, they decided the project would be to help this underserved community in East Hartford, which is like 25 minutes away. So it's still fairly local for us. In this community, we have a childcare center there. 100% of people who utilize the service there for childcare, every single one of the families receive financial assistance. The fact that 100% of the families needed this service is noteworthy because it just shows just how much need they have. They were getting stories about people who would drop off their kids and not have enough diapers for the day. The staff was without diapers for the children, and they were going out and buying it themselves, which was significant that it wasn't a very high-paying job. There was a real disparity there. No one wants to see a baby be in a diaper too long. In order to assist the community, we decided that we wanted to do this big diaper drive. It turned into something a little different, a little bit more sustainable than just a single drive.
And as I learned from speaking with Fran, when it comes to women's period products, one can't use food stamps for that.
Correct. You can't use your food stamps for that, which is really unfortunate because it is something that you as a woman, you obviously need. Same thing with the child. They certainly need the diapers. There's nothing they can do about it. In childcare with the diapers, it's something like they can't go more than an hour and a half.
Clean or dirty, you need X amount per day.
That's right.
Where do you get your diapers? How is it set up, and how do people access the service?
We had the site of the childcare center, and this center had like an extra room upstairs. It was actually kind of roomy. So we had this extra space, which was nice because space is a commodity. It's something that people look for and that we needed to have for this. It was kind of fun as the Leadership Lab group saw the site and saw the kids and some of the families. So that was sweet. But then also going upstairs and looking at the space that we had was also very functional. We housed the diapers in this extra space. It was kind of nice because it had a half door, which would allow for somebody behind the door to be able to give away the diapers to a family on the other side. That was just like a little happy accident there. We did this huge diaper drive, and we had leadership involved, and anybody who wanted to participate in leadership really did stand up for this. The entrance ticket
you had to bring a bag or a box of diapers. So just something. And that was incredible. And that was able to house our first foray into distribution. But now we hooked up with the Connecticut Diaper Bank, like a clearinghouse for diapers for like Pampers and Cuddles and all these different name brands. When they hit their capacity of like giving out all the diapers they're going to give out and they have extra they give to us. It would be nice to be on their general list, but that's really hard to get on. The need is great. We'd love to be just part of their regular distribution.
And that is something that might happen. It just takes time. I would imagine there's a waiting list.
There is a waiting list and we're on it.
Okay. Hopefully that will happen soon. And it sounds like people need to donate more to the diaper bank so that they have more resources.
You know, that's funny you said that because next week we have an in-person meeting for the whole association. I am thinking about maybe sending an email to the VP and just saying, you know, our diaper bank could use a little oomph if you wouldn't mind putting in your email distribution, just saying that we still are in need. Certainly wouldn't hurt.
Well, it sounds like you're off on a good start to having a sustainable, regular service that has room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be a lot of energy in the community, and it might mean a couple of more diaper drives every now and then just to top it up. Last question. What's something about the YMCA that you think most people don't know but would like to know about that would be helpful for them to know?
We really get pigeonholed as like an exercise place, which is nice. We want that. But there's so much more to the why. Our why here in Plainville, which is the Wheeler YMCA. We have a childcare as well. We do offer financial assistance because it's not just working out, even though that's key, but we have a child watch area that allows family members to bring their children to play while their family's working out. We have swimming lessons, which is so important. A lot of the kids don't know how to swim. That's water safety piece is also really key. But then we have other things like martial arts and sports of all sorts, which is specifically for children who are at home, maybe being homeschooled, etc. when they're smaller. It's a nice socialization and a reason to move around. Then there's the Live Strong program, which is wonderful. It's for cancer survivors that want to acknowledge and put movement back into their lives after surviving cancer. It's just amazing. That's another one that I had to learn about that. I thought, what a nice thing that we do.
Well, thank you, Mona. I'm really excited about this project that you're doing and the impact that it will have on that Y in East Hartford and what will happen next. Definitely keep me posted to any changes and growth that may happen or needs that you might have as well. I can maybe share those with folks.
Great. That'd be great. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I got to hang out with you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Part 2, Anthropocene Pastoral. If you're in conversation with me for more than 5 minutes, you will learn that I am obsessed with climate change. As the longtime host of Citizens Climate Radio and Climate Stew, and the producer of the Climate Changed podcast, I've created nearly 300 podcast episodes about climate change. I'm particularly fascinated with how artists approach this complex and still contentious issue surrounding our climate changed world. My husband, Glenn Retief, teaches creative writing at Susquehanna University. Glenn told me about an alum of their program, a poet, who published a moving and insightful poem about climate change. In her poem, Anthropocene Pastoral, Catherine Pierce explores the collision of beauty and dread in the age of climate change. Her poem begins, "In the beginning, the ending was beautiful."
Anthropocene Pastoral. In the beginning, the ending was beautiful. Early spring everywhere. The trees furred pink and white. Lawns the sharp green that meant new. The sky so blue it looked manufactured. Robins. We'd heard the cherry blossoms wouldn't blossom this year, but what was one epic blooming when even the desert was an explosion of verbena? When bobcats slinked through primroses, when coyotes slept deep in orange poppies. One New Year's Day, we woke to daffodils, wisteria, onion grass wafting through the open windows. Near the end, we were eyeletted. We were cottoned. We were sundressed and barefoot. At least it's starting gentle, we said. An absurd comfort, we knew, a placebo. But we were built like that. Built to say, at least. Built to reach for the heat of skin on skin, even when we were already hot. Built to love the purpling desert in the twilight. Built to marvel over the pink bursting dogwoods, to hold tight to every pleasure even as we rocked together toward the graying. Even as we held each other, warmth to warmth, and said, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, while petals sifted softly to the ground all around us.
That was Catherine Pierce reading her poem, Anthropocene Pastoral. It appears in her collection, Danger Days. The music that accompanied the poem is Woodland Track by Joseph Begg. Catherine Pierce served as Mississippi's Poet Laureate from 2021 to 2025. She's the author of 4 poetry collections, including Danger Days, and she's not slowing down. 2 new books are coming out in 2026, a memoir, which is called Foxes for Everyone. It's from Northwestern University Press, and a new poetry collection entitled Dear Beast from Saturnalia. These days, Catherine lives in Rehoboth, Delaware, where she runs Studio and Craft. It's a playful poetry community that meets writers wherever they are. You can find her online at catherinepiercepoet.com and at the website studioandcraft.com. Part 3, Jumpstar. Let me set the scene for you. It is Saturday, October 18th, 2025, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'm in Richmond, Virginia, at the Abner Clay Park in the historic Jackson Ward neighborhood. But this moment is also 5 years ago and 1,000 years in the future. Right now, I stand at roughly 37 degrees north, 77 degrees west on a small blue planet turning through space at roughly 1,000 miles an hour. Overhead, Polaris still rules the northern sky, but not forever. Our planet wobbles. The North Star will replace itself with another, then another, in a circular parade. Artist George Ferrandi has been preparing for Polaris's successor. a future North Star waiting patiently to take its turn. George had been working on Jumpstar for years. Jumpstar is an interplanetary ritual to welcome the next North Star, Gamma Cepi, when it arrives to claim its place in about 1,000 years. Until George told me, I had no idea that North Star was a temporary title passed along in a slow, stately procession of the Earth's axis, passing the title like a heavenly relay race. Jumpstar died twice. First in Kansas, when a tornado canceled the premiere. It was pretty dramatic. Shockingly, none of the art was affected, but everything else was. And then it died again during the pandemic when so many things withered and died. But the gravitational pull of this idea was strong. By 2024, George had drawn to herself collaborators, funders, and dreamers from around the world, and in particular, Richmond, Virginia. They all came into her orbit. So here I am in Abner Clay Park. It's been transformed for the weekend into an otherworldly field of glowing sculptures and movement. And tonight, I join hundreds of volunteers dubbed Dark Matter. I can't believe it. I'm Dark Matter. And I get to help carry a giant illuminated paper sculpture. These sculptures, there's a bunch of them, they each represent one of the North Stars. We're about to begin the Axial Precision Procession.
I want to ask all the Dark Matter volunteers, all the folks who are holding the sculptures and learn the movements to be at your sculptures and in your places and be ready to lift the sculptures.
Last night we said goodbye to Polaris with Mira's beautiful goodbye song and Jarek Bischoff's the world premiere of Jarek's Symphony. If you were here for that, it was amazing. And tonight's focus is on welcoming Seth. And Seth in the Jumpstar universe is represented as the white bear. I just wanted to take this moment to acknowledge there are all of these moving parts, all made possible by hundreds of people over the years who have helped build the sculptures, lift the sculptures in and out of trucks, organize the events where we could build the sculptures, host the constellates. And I just wanted to celebrate and recognize the sacred work of that and of you tonight, taking a moment from the chaos of now and remembering that we are on a planet turning in space. We're part of something vast and ancient, and that it will take work, but what comes next is up to us. And we can invent it.
Magnetic, the right arm of the king, stars of the flock, and the magnitude you bring. You spin with vigor so swift and fair, orbiting, evolving, we see you there.
Baptist Church Choir members who joined us for this evening. This has been a really special week. And thank you to my beautiful band. And
George, is there an announcement that I should make?
There's more music coming and dancing, much more dancing.
This is the announcement.
Okay, hang tight.
I feel like she's gonna go for a Wait, I think that this is the,
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Bubble and Squeak. You heard Catherine Pierce reading Anthropocene Pastoral. You can learn more about her work at catherinepiercepoet.com. Learn more about the Menstrual Cup project Christine and Mary told us about. Visit couldyou.org. It's all one word, couldyou.org. See photos of the whimsical, gorgeous sculptures George and her collaborators created for Jumpstar at georgeferrandi.com. Ferrandi has 2 R's in it and ends in an I. That's georgeferrandi.com. I also have images on my Instagram. Look for @PetersonToscano. Bubble and Squeak is written and produced by me, Peterson Toscano. I mostly make the show for myself and for people like Ted Heck and Levi Gorin, who make their dreams a reality.
Would your arms around me if we stay here?